Let's now talk about the projection problem, which is closely tied with the use of presuppositions in any language. This projection problem is based on general assumption of the language. We generally see in language that the meaning of a sentence are composed of or consist of various parts it contains. Similarly, it may be assumed that the meaning of a sentence would remain the same as it is combined with any other sentence. So the meaning of the parts, one sentence would remain the same if it is combined with another sentence, and we form a complex structured sentence. And the assumption or presupposition which was made in a sentence would also remain intact when it is combined with any other sentence. But in fact, when we have a look at the actual practice of the use of language in our daily life or even in our professional life, we see that this is not true, because the meaning of or the assumption which is assumed in the original sentence might not remain intact or true when that sentence is combined with another sentence. In order to elaborate this further, let's have a look at this example. For example, you can see here statement, nobody realized that Kelly was ill. This is first statement, we can call it P. And Kelly was ill is the assumption or presupposition which is being made there. So we can simply say P leads to Q. In the coming lines or in the coming slides, we will see that how when we combine this assumption with another sentence, how this changes or does not remain intact. This sentence does not project into the complex structure. When we'll combine it with another sentence, this might change its assumption. For example, we have another statement here. I imagined that Kelly was ill. And this statement may be referred to as R statement for a semantic or pragmatic analysis. And the assumption is Kelly was not ill actually, and this may be referred as Q. So R leads to Q, R assumes Q. Here the speaker who uttered sentence C presupposes sentence D. We can see that. When we combine these two sentences, for example, I imagined that Kelly was ill and nobody realized that she was ill. That means R and P presuppose, not Q. After this point, after combining R and P, the presupposition Q can no longer be assumed, which was assumed in case of or as a result of the assumption of first sentence. So we can see it is not true here that Kelly was ill. Is not true when we say I imagined that Kelly was ill and nobody realized that she was ill. So that does the Q assumption which we saw in the previous slide may not be true here when it is combined with another statement. This is an example of the projection problem. Let's see another example, and this example is taken from an episode of a TV soap. And in that episode, one character, Freya, says, "It's so sad. Sarah regrets fighting with Zahra." Sana, which is another character, says, "But it was not her fault. We knew that now." Combining two utterances, we have the sequence as Sarah regrets fighting with Zahra, but it was not her fault. We can identify the different presuppositions involved here. For example, Sarah regrets fighting with Zahra. This statement presupposes Sarah fought with Zahra. She actually fought with Zahra. That means P leads to Q. You can see that on your screen. But when we add this information, it was not her fault, which may be referred to as R for semantic analysis. The presupposition already created in form of Q may not remain true here. Let's see the complex structure here. Sentence here. Tara regrets fighting with Zahra, but it was not her fault. That means, or this statement is equal to P and R. And that means, if we see that further in figuratively, P and Q presuppose not Q. So the presupposition which was made in case of the first sentence, Tara regrets fighting with Zahra, it does not remain intact. And this very much may be seen as the projection problem. But we can see that these things are very difficult to be detected in our daily conversation. One way to think about the whole sentence or the whole example which I just referred to in the previous slide is as an utterance by a person reporting what happened in a TV soap. That person will not assume the presupposition Q is true when uttering this, because he knows the context in which all that happened. So sometimes, rather on many times, we can see that the presupposition based on a certain statement may not remain the same when that sentence is combined with another sentence or with another situation. So such problem with presupposition is actually called projection problem.